Okay, I think we're recording. Well, welcome everybody to Tuesdays. It's almost like Tuesdays with Maury, but now it's Tuesdays with Rick.
Good book, good story. Yeah. Tuesdays with
Absolutely.
Rick and Rusty. That's right. How are you, Rusty?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I know we were just chatting about our weekends, and you went to
Yes.
the Poppies.
We looked at
Uh,
we were about a week late trying to check out the poppies. We found a couple of them. I think they hide or something after a certain amount of time. And,
yeah,
and my kids had a Krispy Kreme experience, which they loved on the way. So that was good.
that's awesome. We did the last night. We drove out to Manhattan Beach to look at the blue waves that are going on right now.
That's a good idea. Smell the
Yeah.
ocean air and yeah.
Yeah, and they've got that. I don't know if it's the plankton in them or whatever, but at night they literally look like they're fluorescent blue. It's pretty cool.
Well, they say the dolphins are glowing now too. I don't know if you've heard. For those
No, I've
folks
not
that
heard
have
that.
are in the marina areas, they'll see some dolphins swimming through, and they're apparently taking on that same effect, the kind of a glowing effect, which is neat.
I didn't know that. That would have been cool to see. We didn't see those.
I
It's
didn't.
hard because there's so many people there, and then the cops come and kind of run you off because of social distancing. So we had
Sure.
our masks on.
Well, so I had to tell you a little emergency, not emergency, but we had to get some essentials. We had to get essentials. See, I have a war story to share with you. I don't know if you can see.
Wow.
I get out of the car. Of course, I'm the one that we can afford to sacrifice in the family. But I'm running errands, right? I put the mask on. I'm going in the store, and I get out of my car, and I didn't realize it, but the woman next to me, the car was open. She had her lift back open on her
Oh
SUV,
no. Yeah.
and I am head height for all lift backs on SUVs. I'm 6'2". I know you're a little taller than me, and I walked right into that thing. Almost knocked me over. She felt so bad. I said, well, you shouldn't feel bad. This it's my fault. I walked into your car.
I'm the idiot.
Yeah, I'm the idiot. That's a
Yeah,
horror story. And it's
we have all
like
done
guys
that.
like me and you. I remember as a kid, my dad, every time at the dinner table, he'd get up and hit that same lamp with his head every
Yeah.
single night after dinner. And he would bump into stuff all the time. He's 6'3",
Yeah.
almost 6'4", and he was always hitting his head on stuff.
And what's great about that is then they look around and wonder who put that there when it's been hanging there for 30 years, you know?
30 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's Tuesdays with Rick and Rusty. We like to on Tuesdays talk a little bit about sports, about pop culture, about faith, and then of course we like to give a shout out to some local businesses. So we thought today the subject for sports, we would talk about the prospect of baseball coming back. Rusty, there was a plan that was floated about a month ago about putting all the players in the spring training sites in Arizona, quarantining them in a hotel room, and then letting them just play the spring training stadiums, never leaving Arizona, so they'd be away from their families. That didn't go over well with the players. There's a new plan being discussed. There was an article in USA Today. Bob Nightingale is the writer for that story, about the prospect of going ahead and letting these teams open, possibly as soon as late June, playing in the home stadiums, for example, Dodger Stadium, with no fans, just constant testing. And first of all, I wanted to see what you thought of the idea of baseball coming back soon, and then we can talk about some of the new rules that would involve this season.
Well, I tell you, I think we've talked about this before. I'll take whatever. I mean, I'd take darts at this point. So, which I know is big in England. We've talked about that
Yeah.
before. But yes, absolutely. Please bring it back. It would be so strange. And this happened once before. Do you remember this? It was in DC. Was it when the sniper was loose or there
Yes.
was something going on? They played a game with no fans in the
And
stands.
the
It
Baltimore
was
Orioles.
really weird, but I'd be all for it.
Yeah, and because you watched the game was broadcast live, and you could see it, and you're right, it sounds funny. You almost want them to pipe in, the
Yes.
sounds of a crowd. But so it is different. It is different because you
Hmm.
like the sound of the crowd, don't we?
Right. Absolutely. I think the players like it too.
They do. So here's the idea on how, and here's an idea I wouldn't mind if it became permanent. They would, first of all, they would condense the season to 100 games as opposed to the 162. So it'd be around 100 games. They would
Okay.
put all the teams in 3 different divisions. It would be an East, a Central, and a West. No National League, no American League, just 3 10-team divisions. So,
Huh.
for example, the Dodgers would be in the same division with the Houston Astros, by the way. What do you think of that format?
Wow. That really messes up a lot of the rivalries, I think. I'm not sure if I like that, but like I said, I'll take whatever they can give, but it seems like a lot of the baseball purists are really going to be mad.
Well, in the West, the Dodgers and Giants would still face each other. In the East, you'd still have the Red Sox and Yankees. Those are probably two of the biggest rivalries in baseball.
Right.
You have a new rivalry, I'm sure, the Dodgers and Astros. So
Yes, you do.
that
Yes, you
could be
do.
interesting. I like it though, and what they would do is everybody would employ the DH. I you
Oh,
know
okay.
I listen. I love a more regional. I think you create more rivalries with a more regional schedule, and that's what it would
It's
be. It
true.
would be, you go up to play Seattle up north, and all the way down south to San Diego for teams on the West Coast. I think it could be very interesting.
So they'd only have three divisions. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
three divisions,
Really
10
interesting.
teams. You would play just those teams, and again, that regional area, the rest of the Dodgers division would include Arizona, Colorado. You'd have both Texas and Houston in that division. The Angels would be in it. So you'd have truly a Western division. You have truly an Eastern division. I mean, your football team, I think, is in the AFC West, is it not? It's ridiculous.
It
Come
is.
on.
It is. It is. Yeah, they should really reshuffle all of that, but
And
oh well.
so anyway, that the purpose of that would make it convenient, so you could do your road trips a lot easier, get more games in that way. I like.
Hmm.
Here's another suggestion for you, though. I want to know what you think about this. There's been talk, and they've been experimenting in the minor leagues with the idea of electronic umpiring. Um,
Yes.
and it would be similar to what they did in tennis a few years ago, where there would be some kind of a sound, a noise that would be made if for balls and for strikes. The umpire would basically relay the information that was given to you electronically. Now, number one, in my many years of covering baseball, I'm always blown away at how good umpires and referees really are. I mean, they
Right.
don't get a lot of credit. Number two, I think fans would miss booing them, don't you think?
Yeah, it's part of the game, definitely. I've been reading this book called The Inside Game, and it's all about some of the mindset behind baseball and just different things as to the way the brain works. It's pretty fascinating. But one of their big points is umpires, when they call a game, the difference between them and a robot is they have a memory and they tend to have preferences on players and they tend to get players back and they tend to reverse a call later on. You lose a lot of that, but maybe that's okay.
I think it was Paulo Duca, former Dodger, who accused one of the umpires at the time of being not. I don't want to say taking bribes, but you could basically say, "I'll take you to dinner," or do you a favor, and if you're good to us. And so the umpire's been denying it to this point. I know what you mean. It's the same old story, like in the NBA, for example. Do the superstars get preferential treatment?
Right.
I know you were talking about watching The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan and the Bulls
Yeah.
championship run. I'm watching it too, and the jokes that go around about star players that every time they drive into the land, they want a foul, and sometimes they get the foul when they maybe
Right.
don't deserve it.
Right. You're exactly right. And I remember Penberthy, who was on our show, talking about pleading with the ref to just let me have this much space. That's all I need. And they wouldn't let him do it. They let the guy just hack him constantly because Mike was, he's a rookie and an unknown.
See, and by the way, and that's the thinking of a shooter and a scorer, right? If
Hmm.
you're a guy like me, when I played basketball, which wasn't very good, this was high school. I was the kind of guy that liked to beat the guards up, down low. If you're going
Uh-huh.
to come in, if you're going to come into my house, you're going to pay a price. The
Right.
Rodman kind of stuff, the Lambeer, the kind
Right.
of stuff. Kurt Rambis, was kind of
Oh
an
yeah.
enforcer. So
Yeah.
I don't like it when you can't touch anybody, but where if a little breeze hits somebody, they call a foul. I also don't think there should be any flagrant fouls either, though.
Exactly. Exactly. I totally agree. Though I don't miss basketball from the 90s where it was just a slugfest out there. I do hate hearing the whistle all the time. That just really gets old.
Well, exactly, exactly. And again, I think we agree. And look, I love the Lakers. I'm a big Magic fan, but he would cry a lot during games. He
Yep.
wouldn't mind wanting to call a lot.
Absolutely.
That's
Yep.
that's part of the game. All right, so there you go. Baseball, possibly 100 games. That would start the end of July, maybe end of June, first part of July at the latest. So fingers crossed, we can see. NASCAR, by the way, will start running races apparently in a couple of weeks. And that's one I'd never thought of, which is a good idea,
Wow.
because that, other than the guys in the car by himself, other than the pit crew, and there's about 5 of those guys, that one makes sense. So,
Okay, now I've lived in Kentucky and Kansas and Missouri, where NASCAR is big.
Yeah.
You're not keeping those fans away. They're going to be in the parking lot in their RVs, listening on the radio, watching on TV, just being together. I think those people will still find a way to gather.
listen, I agree with you. And of all of the events I've ever covered, Daytona 500, I would say I'm going to be careful. The most unique fans I've been around, and so I know what you mean. I could see
Yes.
that they love their NASCAR. Bless their hearts. I do want to point out there was a sporting event over the weekend. I don't know if you saw this or not. It was a backyard pole vaulting competition. Did you watch it?
I did not. I'll have to find that.
I missed it too. I thought we should talk about this just for a second, and you're gonna, if you don't mind humoring me. 3 pole vaulters, one of them the world record holder, a guy by the name of Renaud Lavignani, who's from France. The world record holder is a guy by the name of Mondo Duplantis of Sweden, and they allowed an American to go ahead and compete with him by the name of Sam Kendricks. They did this in their backyards. So pole vaulting, for folks watching, if you haven't seen track and field, a guy will run down a runway with a very long fiberglass pole. He plants it in a box. He gets catapulted in the air and tries to leap over a bar and lands into a pit. Now, I have to admit to you, in the interest of full disclosure, I was a pole vaulter in high school. So,
wow.
but they're 3 guys. They did it like us on a Zoom meeting, sort of an event, and they did it in their backyards. Now, there were no world record attempts. The winner of the meet, which I think was Duplantis, the competition basically centered around how many times can you leap over 16 feet in 30 minutes. 16 feet in 30 minutes. And so he won the gold medal by doing it, let's see here, a total of 36 times in 13 minutes. He holds a world record, which is 20 feet, 3 1/4 inches. And I think I vaulted like 14 feet when I was in high school.
I just don't understand how you make the pole work. That has never made sense to me. That is fascinating.
Can I say, and not to dissuade any young people out there who want to be pole vaulters someday, don't do it. Don't do it. But my brother was seriously injured doing it. I did it to follow in his footsteps because I was also playing football, baseball, basketball, and he was a pole vaulter. And I saw my share of injuries, but yeah, it's all about the speed. And then when you plant the pole, it's leverage. And then you have to become a gymnast once the pole starts bending. And then after that, it's a lot of this. It really is, Rusty. You want to talk about faith when it comes to sports?
Yes, that sounds like it.
I think I saw more signs of the cross in pole vaulting than any.
It sounds like it.
You're a tall person. You, to me, would be if you were in track and field, I would think of you as a high jumper. Did you ever? I know you were a basketball player. Did you make any attempt at any track and field events?
I never did. They always told me that I could do cross country or long distance running because of my heart rate, but I just never really wanted to do it. It just sounded miserable. So you would assume I was a shot putter, but not so much. Yeah.
I will say you're right. I think running long distance is sort of miserable, and I think you're like me. If you've got a ball in your hand, you don't mind the running.
Right.
Running for the sake of running.
No, unless you're being chased. Why are we doing this?
That's different. That's true. With that, you ready to move on to pop culture, or did you want to add anything?
No, let's do it.
Okay. I was thinking, at the risk of being, how would I say, self-absorbed, and why not? If they were going to make a movie called The Rusty George Story or Pastor Rusty, who would you choose to play the role of Rusty George?
Wow. Okay, well, I will say this because people tell me that I remind them of this guy, and that I believe his name is Dax Shepard. Is that right?
Yes, Dax Shepard, comedic actor.
Yeah, obviously incredibly handsome. But that's what I hear the most. I don't know who would who would play me. I think Clooney and Pitt probably are out of the question, but I'll just go with Dax, or maybe back in his younger days, Ron Howard. So
Ron, there's a little difference there between Dax and Ron.
yeah, yeah. What about you?
You know, what's funny? I would like to think that as good of an actor as he is, that Denzel Washington could play Rick Garcia.
Yes, I think
Don't
so.
think that's going to work though. And there's so many actors who I love, and I think about some of the funnier ones or the more current ones, like a Ryan Reynolds or somebody like that. But I'm going to go for drama, and I'm going to go with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh,
Cut his hair a little bit. You know,
he could play anybody.
yeah, he could. He's incredible. But it would have to be, I guess, a little more on the dramatic side, right? Because I don't know that we've
Hmm.
Daniel Day-Lewis in a comedy, have we?
I don't think so. That'd be a good poll question, is what's the best Daniel Day-Lewis performance? It's hard to choose there.
I
Everything he
remember
does is brilliant.
the very first one that his breakout one was My Left Foot. He won an
Yep,
Oscar.
that's right.
Last of the Mohicans is one of my
Yep,
favorite period
yep.
pieces. Yeah, you could go on and on about that.
There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, just incredible.
Hmm.
All right. Well, let's talk about faith.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the folks that did go to church online at the Real Life Church, of course, are familiar with the series. And for those folks who might be tuning in, just curious, wanting to know what you've been talking about, I'll lead you into this. Of course, the series is like the one you love, and it's been focusing on five elements: know, trust, rely, commit, and touch. And
Yes.
yesterday it was rely.
Yes, we had a great conversation, actually a testimony shared by a guy named Coffey Anderson, who is a country music YouTube sensation, great singer. He led us in a song, and then he and his wife shared their story, which is one filled with ups and downs, highs and lows, and a cancer diagnosis for her. For those that watched it, they're kind of wondering, how is she now? And the answer is she's doing really good. The tumors continue to shrink. For those that have not watched it, go back and watch it, RLCM online. What's cool is you can download the app now on your Apple TV and just watch it really simply right there, of course, on your computer or laptop or iPad. But we did talk a lot about the idea of how do we rely on one another. And I shared a four kind of letter acronym that really works well in relationships. And it's just the letters I, C, N, U. And it's this practice of with your family on a daily basis, looking at them and finding something you see in them that it's of value and highlighting it. So much of our day is focused on just accomplishing the to-dos of the day and the things that we must get done. And that might be homeschool or errands or emptying the dishwasher or whatever it is. But sometimes there's a chance for us to look at each other and say, boy, you're really good at that. Or I see in you value in this area. Though I value you in all areas, this is one particular area that you're fantastic in. And Rick, I don't want to take our show down a dark path, but we've had an interesting last few days, tragic that is. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, had open heart surgery it would have been 2 weeks ago today. And all seemed to go well, and he got a good checkup from his doctor. And then Wednesday night, he had a cardiac arrest, and my sister had to take him off of life support yesterday.
Sorry.
So while that is awful, he's 51 years old. He was, he worked out, he took care of himself, but a lot of it was genetics, and his heart had basically given out on him. It's a sad time going to do a funeral here in the next couple of days. But it's a reminder of the things that matter most. And obviously his relationship with my sister, with her kids from a previous marriage, and the chance that I had to baptize them last summer in the Pacific Ocean. And those are cherished memories, and certainly things that I'll value for the rest of my life. And I know she feels grateful for as well. So I would say hug the people you love. You never know how long you have. And keep journeying with us on this plan to know and to love and to connect with each other.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Rick.
It kind of brings everything back to what what you talk about every Sunday, frankly, or every Thursday and Sunday.
Right.
And then this series, I know that will continue this week. I know that the next part is about commitment, right?
Commitment for Mother's Day. That's right. Mother's Day is this weekend. For all you guys out there, do not forget your kids are not bringing home homemade cards from school. So you're going to have to brave the Walgreens and go in there and get one.
All right. So speaking of Mother's Day, you ready for a local business shout out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'd like to say hi to my friends at Classic Designs Jewelry. My dad, one thing I learned from my dad, and I learned lots from my dad, but that a man's best friend can be his jeweler. So it is Mother's Day on Sunday. There's not a lot of pressure. I'm sure moms are just happy to be with their families, and that's important. I don't know if they were doing appointments at Classic Designs. I don't know if you can order online, but that's a business that's going to need help, like all the other businesses in town when we start opening things up. So Classic Designs Jewelry, Apo Yasayan and his family are wonderful people. They're lifelong friends of our families, and we're thrilled to know them.
Yeah, well, I would just simply, and I know this business is not struggling by any means, but I give Trader Joe's a lot of grief by talking about their parking lot because it's so bad as far as it's so busy. That's a good thing for them. But boy, they have done a great job during this pandemic. That obviously their workers in there are always upbeat and happy and smiling. But the way that they've managed the lines, the social distancing, the 6 feet apart has been phenomenal. And you look at other businesses that just let everybody come in there and it's just a mass of humanity and people are wearing masks and some aren't. And Trader Joe's has got it figured out. They're doing a great job and I always feel safe going in there.
Well, that's excellent. So the store is doing great. The parking lot, it's still.
Well, it's better now. It's not as busy.
If we could just social distance in the Trader Joe's parking lot.
That's right. That's right. 6 spaces apart. That'd be great.
Well, I think that's it for this Tuesday with Rick and Rusty. I do want to point out again, everybody that's on Facebook Live already knows, or on Facebook knows Pastor Rusty George. You can find out more information if you're new to this particular program at PastorRustyGeorge.com.
That's right. And Rick Garcia can be found every Friday on KHTS from 1 to 3 Pacific Time, 1220, 98.1, and online, KHTS.
That's it for us. Buddy. Yeah, we hope you guys enjoy your week. And Rusty, I guess a lot of us will see you Thursday night. I'll see you
Thursday night and Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to all, and can't wait to do this again next week, buddy.
Sounds good. See you then.